kind of like Star Wars, where you have some people that will say, yes, of course, I love Star Wars. And then you bring up the sequels and they go, what sequels? What are you talking about? I don't know anything about this. That was true for the prequels until people started thinking better about them until recently. But like this kind of thing. I don't know about John. I don't know about Paul. I don't know about Peter. I don't know about those guys. But Jesus, like, yeah, I'm down with what Jesus taught. I'm okay with that. I'm a red letter Christian. And for those of you that maybe forgot that real books exist, so a red letter Christian, what that refers to is in your Bible, in modern versions, what they started to do was to print the letters of Jesus in red to try to have them stand out. And so this is an articulation to say, well, you know what? I don't believe all these other claims that the church makes about Jesus, but what Jesus says, I'm fine with that. Because he says things like we should care for the poor, and I'm okay with that. And he says that we should love other people, and I'm okay with that. And I think that kind of thing is good. Indeed, recently somebody commented on one of our videos saying, well, you know, Paul and all that, I don't care about that. But what Jesus said, that's fine. And I wish more Christians would actually listen to what Jesus said. The problem being, of course, that if you were a red letter Christian, you'd end up being a Pauline Christian, a Johannine Christian, a Petrine Christian, insert teacher here. Why? What are the apostles doing when they are writing their letters and when they are sharing the good news of the gospel, the evangelists as they're writing down their gospels? What are they doing? Well, they're not just sharing the words of Jesus, they're further explicating them. If you've read through the Sermon on the Mount and then you go read James' epistle, lots of those themes are similar. Why? He listened to his teacher. And so much of James's epistle is just a re-articulation of what Jesus says on the Sermon on the Mount. If you think that Paul makes grandiose claims that Jesus doesn't, I'm afraid you haven't read those red letters, because those red letters make those same claims. Well, Paul develops this whole idea about Jesus dying for people, but that's not really present with Jesus. Really, Jesus who said that the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Sounds a little bit like we might be talking about the gospel in both of these cases, right? And these are just re-articulations thereof. Part of what's going on is a desire to divorce Jesus from the church. It's to distinguish and to dissolve the union between the bridegroom and the bride, Jesus and his church. It's to behead Jesus. It's to take the head off from the body, which is the church. If you'll follow me with those biblical metaphors, it's to try to separate things that cannot be separated. Because Jesus, he ties what he is teaching, what he proclaims, both about himself and about the world and about how we ought to respond to these things with the church. When Peter gives his confession, Jesus' response is to say, what you said, we're going to build the church on this. I'm going to build my church on this. And the gates of hell will not prevail against it. You see, Jesus connects true profession about who he is to the work of the church.